In this video, we're going to be ranking all of the weapons that are currently inside Warzone from best to worst after all of the buffs and nerfs and weapon changes have taken place. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns, weapon comparisons, and overall tips and tricks for Warzone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And make sure you click that link in the description and subscribe to our second channel as well. So let's first go over the tiers before we start putting weapons in there. So meta is obviously going to be the meta weapons, the best guns in the entire game that you should definitely be using. Top tier upper are going to be the guns that I do believe that should be almost meta, but they don't quite beat out the meta weapons. Then top tier lower are guns that are definitely extremely viable and you can definitely get away with using them if you like using those kind of weapons. Viable means that you can use them, but I probably wouldn't really recommend it over some of the other weapons. Niche just means that it's got a specific scenario or it's not very good. And then bad is just guns are just terrible. So first we have the Cold War AK. Now I do think the Cold War AK is now meta inside Warzone. With the changes to the suppressors, with the changes to the optics, all that kind of stuff, I do think this gun is now meta in two forms. You can run it as an SMG and you can run it as an AR. Now, if you're running it as an AR, it's not quite as accurate as some of the other guns, but it's definitely still a meta weapon. We have got the Modern Warfare AK. The Modern Warfare AK, I believe it's top tier lower. It's definitely not top tier upper because there's some guns that are definitely better than this. But I do think it is a very viable gun if you kit it out the right way. The AMAX is definitely the meta weapon. Even after all the nerfs and everything that has taken place with this gun, it's still the best long-range rifle in Warzone in my opinion. The AN94 is definitely viable. Is it better than the AK? It's probably about the same level as the AK-47 here. The AS Val I would usually put in top tier upper, but now I'm going to put it in top tier lower. And the reason for it is it's just not quite as reliable as some of the other weapons as sniper support, because that's really what you're going to be using this gun for. Sniper support, you can't really use it as an SMG, you don't get the SMG movement, and you also don't have the Cold War movement as well. The Cold War guns do just move a lot quicker than the Modern Warfare guns. So the AS Val, it does have a great time to kill, so for solos and duos definitely give it a go, but you're not going to be running it as your SMG over some other options. Then we have the Cold War AUG, and this is definitely a top tier lower gun after all of its changes. Now the optics are fixed on this gun and you can still use it at those longer distances. It is a top tier lower weapon in my opinion. You can still get away with doing really well with this gun, but the only issue is the bullet velocity lets it down, and also you need to use that task force barrel to make sure you're getting the best bullet velocity, so that's going to hurt your recoil as well. So that's the only reason I wouldn't really put it any higher than this. Then we've got the FAL. The FAL is viable. You could definitely get away with using it. The only issue is it's semi-automatic and it kind of makes it harder to use for that reason. The Farah is definitely top tier upper. Now, I don't think it's still quite as good as the AMAX or the Cold War AK, because those two guns just fry when it comes to TTK, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely got a really good time to kill potential at those longer distances. It's just that the recoil is a little bit too hard to manage at those longer distances, and if they fix that, then I do think it's going to be a meta weapon, but I don't think it's meta right now. We've got the FFAR, and that is definitely top tier upper as sniper support still. It was definitely a better option than the AS Val for sure, if you kit it out correctly. The FR556 is either niche or viable. I don't really think it's that great in my opinion. I'm going to put it in niche. I don't think it's better than the FAL. The Grau is definitely top tier upper. It's a great gun. To be fair, you could push the Grau into meta as well. It's just one of the most accurate long-range rifles in the game. I'm going to put it in meta because I do think a lot of people are going to start using this more and more. The Groza is a decent gun. It's not as good as the FFAR still, to be fair. I think the iron sights are still broken on this gun. I don't know if they fixed that yet. But if you use certain blueprints, you can still use the iron sights. I'm going to put it in top tier lower because it's kind of in the same category as the AS Val as sniper support. The Kilo is definitely top tier upper. You can still use this below 80 meters. Past 80 meters is not as good as the Grau, but below 80 meters is definitely pretty good. I would choose the Farah over the Kilo personally, but it's still a good option. The Krieg is definitely meta, especially with the new optic changes and stuff. This gun feels really, really good right now, and it's super accurate. The M13 is definitely top tier lower. It's a very low recoil gun, and now that all the TTKs have been brought up to kind of like that 600 millisecond mark, This gun definitely feels a lot better now. They do need a bigger mag on it though to make it more viable. Then we've got the M16, and the M16 is just a slightly more accurate version of the AUG, but it still doesn't have the best bullet velocity. And I think that's the thing that they need to fix with the 2 tactical rifles, or the 3 tactical rifles actually, is the bullet velocity issue. But it's definitely a top tier weapon, so it's top tier lower. M4, definitely top tier upper. This is a great gun at long range. It's so consistent and has been really consistent over all of the seasons. Then we have the Odin, and the Odin is viable, but is not quite as good as any of these other guns up here. QBZ, it's got still stupidly fast strafe speeds, but it doesn't have the time to kill potential as any of these other guns at close range, so I still wouldn't really use it all that much. It's definitely viable though. Ram 7, now the Ram 7 is top tier upper. It's got a worse recoil than the Farah, and at longer ranges the Farah actually beats it. So unless you're using it as sniper support, the Farah is probably a better option, to be completely honest. So I would choose the Farah over the Ram 7. The Scar is viable, man. It's just been the way it has been. You can't really do much with it. XM4 is definitely meta as an SMG build. It's so consistent when it comes to damage because it has the 5.56 ammo, and it doesn't matter whether you land a headshot, a stomach shot, a limb shot, it's still going to give you that same consistent TTK. So that is why the XM4 is a great SMG, and it also still has the stupidly fast movement before they nerfed all the other weapons, so you still get the movement on the XM4. Cold War Mp5, definitely a meta weapon. If you just want the super fast TTK at close range and good movement speeds, the Cold War Mp5 is an awesome option. The P90 is viable. I don't really know about the P90 anymore, to be honest, but it's definitely a viable gun. You could definitely use it in Warzone. The Bison is not as good as the other weapons up at the top here. The ISO, I've seen a lot of people talk good about the ISO, to be completely honest, but I still think it's just viable, to be honest. It's not as good as the Cold War SMGs. The MP7, again, you can use this. I would put it in the same category as the AS Val. It's a pretty good SMG, but it's not one of the best SMGs in the game. Cold War SMGs usually take the cake for some of the best SMGs. The Striker's just bad, isn't it? The Striker's just a bad weapon. The Fennec, top tier viable as well. It has a good TTK, and it's not got the crazy recoil that the Cold War MP5 does. So if you want like the same TTK as the Cold War MP5, but you don't want the crazy recoil, the Fennec's a good option. Modern Warfare MP5, definitely a meta SMG. It's still a great SMG option now. It's always been super consistent. Uzi is viable, man. Even with the 80 rounds, I don't think it's better than some of the other SMGs in here. The AUG, definitely viable as well. Again, you don't get the Cold War movement, so that's why I'm putting it down here. And you do need that 5.56 ammo to make it any sort of viable. The DMR, I've seen a lot of people actually go back to using the DMR for a bit, but again, it's not that great. You can get away with using it. I do think the FAL's a little bit better now. I think it's okay. The Type 63 is like a worse DMR, so there's probably no reason to use this gun. KSP, again, just a bad gun. Who wants a burst SMG? The Milano, everyone knows how I feel about the Milano, man. Even now that the TTKs are slower, the Milano's still a bad gun. LC10, I think the LC10 is a top tier upper SMG. It's super accurate. If you land your headshots, you can reduce the TTK, and it's quite consistent, so I do think it's a great SMG for Warzone. PPSH, again, top tier upper SMG. Has a really good TTK, decent sized mag, recoil's not that much. I just don't think it's quite as good as the Cold War and Modern Warfare MP5. Mac 10, again, top tier upper, is in the same kind of category as these guns here. Bullfrog, meta weapon. Has a good time to kill, faster time to kill than these SMGs right here, and it also has a super big magazine. The AK-74U I've actually enjoyed a lot recently, and I think it's actually a meta SMG. Origin shotgun, you can get away with using this shotgun for sure. It is pretty viable inside Warzone. Street Sweeper, I think it's top tier lower when it shotguns inside this game. I just don't really like promoting shotgun behavior, but it is a good shotgun, let's be honest. Gallo, I do think it's better than the Street Sweeper. You could spam it a little bit quicker. It does have a decent TTK, especially at those closer ranges. And now that the SMG's TTK has been slower, the shotguns have now came into the meta a bit more as well for those super close range gunfights. The Howard shotgun is not too bad, it's viable. We've got the R90 shotgun, again viable. Models, not quite as good as any of those. I think the model's pretty bad actually. I think the FR556 is pretty bad. I'm moving that back down, I don't care. Vlk Rogue is actually not too bad. You get some decent movement with this gun. So that is why it's not too bad. I'm going to put that in niche. Jak 12 is a worse street sweeper, so you don't really need to use that ever. 725 is just bad. M60, bad. You just move so slow with this gun, and the recoil is insanely bad with this gun. I don't know why. All the other Cold War LMGs don't move as slow as this one, and it doesn't really have any benefits over those guns either. RPD is viable. Even if you kit it out with a good class setup, it's still viable. The Stoner is a top tier lower LMG for sure. Holger is, I'll go in niche, man. It's not that good. MG34 niche. SA87 definitely viable. PKM top tier upper when it comes to LMGs. I think this is probably the best LMG in the game right now. Viable, definitely a viable gun. The Bruin, definitely a top tier upper LMG. Just because of the Cold War weapons and how good the movement is with them, you can't really choose an LMG anymore in this game unless you like being posted up and firing a lot of bullets down range. You don't get the movement that you get with Cold War guns. We've got the Finn, top tier lower. I mean, you could definitely land your shots with this gun. It's basically like the M13 but as an LMG, so it's super accurate, no recoil, good gun to use definitely. We've got the Tundra. There is better sniper rifles overall, but it's still a top tier lower sniper if you do want to use it. Other snipers do have better aspects to it. We've got the M82 sniper, definitely viable, man. If you're looking at a semi-automatic sniper, the Pellington, I still hate the Pellington, man. I don't like this gun at all. I suppose it's viable, right? I suppose it is viable. Got the AX50, again viable. Dragunov is just bad. Rytek is just bad. HDR, top tier upper. I think the HDR is a little bit better than the Tundra just because of bullet velocity, as well as it has the Modern Warfare movement when it comes to ADSing. Then we've got the 1911 from Cold War, but in the pistol category it's still not that good, so it's bad. Magnums are bad. Renetti pistols, sorry, this is Diamatti pistols, are definitely viable, man. Even as a ghost class, a single Diamatti is great. Dual Diamattis are also good. Crossbow is niche and bad, just bad, man. M19's akimbo, viable. They're actually pretty good, to be fair. Renettis, they're just a bad Diamatti, to be honest. X16, bad. Shotgun pistols, you can use these as snake shots and be pretty viable with it. I'll actually put it in niche because it's not quite as good as these two. Psychobs, definitely very viable, just as good as these here. Single or dual, it really depends on how you run it. Deagle's bad, 1911's bad, SKS is bad, Crossbow's bad, EBR's bad, Carbine's bad, Kar 98 is absolutely meta, man. Kar 98 is the best sniper in the game. If anyone says otherwise, they're just wrong, man. The Kar 98 is the best sniper in the game. Then we've got SPR, again, another meta weapon. I'm just going to put it back up here. So the SPR is the best balanced sniper. So if you want good ADS, good bullet velocity, then the SPR is a great option. Then you've got the Swiss. The Swiss is an okay option. It's definitely viable. It's not quite as good as the other ones. Then you've got the ZRG. This is the best bullet velocity sniper. So long range shooting, the ZRG is the best sniper rifle in the game. And then we've got the Carve, which I believe is top tier upper when it comes to tac rifles, because this has the lowest TTK as well as the easiest to control recoil for the burst fire tac rifles. So when it comes to picking your overall weapons, you definitely will be picking weapons out of these categories here. So meta, top tier upper, top tier lower. So there we have it. We've ranked every single weapon that's currently inside Warzone from best to worst, letting you know which ones you should be using inside your class setups, especially after all the nerfs and buffs have taken place. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a like as it helps us get recommended more. Also subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description and subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.